So with Wimbledon over, we look into the future. We have the Olympics, of course, coming up, but we also have the US Open, which is only 6 weeks away, and we've got the entry list for the US Open, and there's some interesting names that are playing that we weren't sure were going to play or not. Let's go have a look at the entry list. So on the ladies' side, the entry list at the moment includes the entire top 10, with Swiatek, Gauff, Sabalenka, Rybakina, Paolini, Pegula, Zhang, Sakari, Collins, and Krejcikova as the top 10. Having a look a little further down, and Tomanovic, she gets a protected ranking, so she'll be into the tournament thanks to that. Going down a little bit further, and you can see players like Badosa and also Raducanu getting direct entry because they're in the top 100 now. Another player that's just at the cutoff and is entering the tournament is Naomi Osaka. 102 in the world currently. She might be able to get into that top 100 over the next few weeks. But there is a name that is missing from this list, and that's Simona Halep. She is not on the entry list, which is really strange, considering that she hasn't played on the hard courts for a while. We actually haven't seen her play for a while. She didn't play the French Open or Wimbledon. So she is not on this list as currently, but then again, she could get a wild card into the tournament last minute anyway. Over on the men's side, and the top 10 are going to be Sinner, Djokovic, Alcaraz, Zverev, de Minaur, Hurkacz, Rublev, Ruud, Dimitrov, and Fritz into the tournament. But coming in with a protected ranking, Rafa Nadal committed to playing the US Open. So really cool to see Rafa there. He's going to be in with his protected ranking that he can use. Of course, he's got a bunch of those that he can use over the next couple of tournaments. Some other names down the list. Guys like Shapovalov, who are also coming in with a protected ranking. Opelka also needed a protected ranking to get in. Krinya Buster as well, which he hasn't played for a while, so good to see him on the entry list. Going down a little bit further on the list, and just outside the top 100 for qualifying, Andy Murray and Dominic Thiem both on the entry list. So, of course, if they want to play, they'll get wildcards potentially. I mean, Thiem hasn't got any wildcards lately, but you think being a former US Open champion, you probably get one. Andy Murray, of course, will get a wildcard if he needs it, but they're outside the top 100, so they need the wildcards to get in, unless Thiem wants to play qualies again at this tournament. So, very interesting to see those guys on the list, which is good, because it means there's an intent to play at this stage. So there you have it, some interesting names there. Rafa committed to play, which is great to see. He's hasn't played on hardcourt since the Australian Open, or since pre-Australian Open. He was supposed to play Indian Wells, Miami, didn't play those. Played a little bit of clay, didn't play grass. Got the Olympics coming up. And interesting to see Andy Murray on the list. And obviously intent to play, but who knows? Maybe he does retire after the Olympics and then decides not to play. But he is on the entry list, which is good to see. Which means, if he wants to keep going after the Olympics, he might want to play one more US Open. It's where he won his first Grand Slam. So cool to see that. Also, Dominic Thiem on the list as well is great. But it's really interesting that Simona Halep's not on the list. But like I said, maybe she gets a wild card last minute. Not sure why she's not there. Maybe it's because her ranking's not high enough. I'm not sure. But hopefully we get to see her as well in the next couple of weeks. But let me know down in the comments below who you're most excited for at the US Open. And give me a prediction. 6 weeks out, who's going to win the US Open? I'm betting the problem maybe Gauff again. Maybe on the men's side, Alcaraz, right? He's winning everything at the moment. Why couldn't he win another US Open? But there it is, entry list for the US Open. We'll see how many of those players actually play when we get to it in 6 weeks.